Alright, let's look at it. What's going on? Is he wearing a MAGA hat and saying shit like, "Oh, Trump's gonna save me, it's time! Ah!"
Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So today we have some updates regarding nuisance streamer Johnny Somali. Now we all know this guy is in deep trouble, but it's never been worse than this. Johnny Somali is now facing a 5th criminal charge, and this one is a very serious one, where he faces a mandatory prison sentence if found guilty by a prosecution that has a 98% conviction rate, by the way. And if he's found guilty, not only will he serve time in prison, he will also be officially labeled as a S offender. Now, S being a 3-letter word that YouTube doesn't like, but he'll be officially labeled as that if he's found guilty.
Wait, that's what it's labeled now? They need to start doing that. They need to start labeling people for what they are. If you make an AI, I'm sorry, I have to time you out for, guys, don't say the word, because YouTube doesn't even like the text. Sorry, it's nothing against you. Don't type it out. What I was trying to say is, they need to start labeling it for what it is. They genuinely, like, start labeling the crime to what it is so that people are more deterred from doing it. Because it is. If you make a fake AI with a woman that's real, and then it becomes like a thing that people believe, I think that's kind of bordering on like offending that kind of crime.
Of this crime that he's charged with. So, it's been a very busy week for Johnny Somali, okay? He got jumped once again out in public. He was trolling around the streets of South Korea, where an individual came up, punched him in the face, and then called him the N-word repeatedly. Now, of course, I can't play any of that clip because of the violence and the N-word being repeated, but you get the point. I mean, this is just, like, casual business for Johnny Somali at this point, getting jumped in public. It's not too surprising. But around that time, he has some very weird clips going around where there's a sort of documentary some of his glazers are making about him, where they're trying to paint him not as some disgusting...
I refuse to believe that there are people who glaze him. I just think it's people who are trolling him, like reverse trolling, to make him do more and more shit. I don't know. I feel like that's probably what's happening. It's like reverse trolling him.
Nuisance streamer, but rather like some internet superstar who's really famous and likable. And they're talking about his, well, many criminal charges he's facing, including the 3 he's pled guilty to already. And he basically thinks he's going to be out of here in a month. He's going to be out of South Korea in just 1 month. Let's listen to the absolute coping here.
It sounds like within a month, though, you could be out of here.
It is a possibility.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, like, if everything goes well with the thing, then it should just be resolved, and you should be able to... You've got your passport still, so you should...
right here.
Yeah, you should be able to just kind of dip then.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I'll limit it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so Cowboy Somali here holds up his passport like that means anything. Like, listen, dude, that's not going to save you, and your antics in South Korea has made no U.S. official have any inclination towards helping you.
And to think that this is actually going to make American tourists' reputation even worse. Look, I'm gonna say it. I think there's bad tourists everywhere. I think we had Chinese tourists in New Zealand that were really terrible. There was a lot of scandals involving that. I'm sure there's tourists that come to America that disrespect America. But, I mean, people don't really care because it's America. But, like, I'm joking. But you get my point, though. Like, there's bad tourists everywhere. But holy crap. It's not helping, like, the American relations between those countries that he's, like, quote-unquote, like, stream invading at this point. It's making it a million times worse.
You're on your own here. That passport means absolutely nothing. But as you heard, he thinks, and these weirdos making this documentary think as well, that he's going to be out in 1 month. Well, unfortunately for Johnny Somali, that's definitely not going to be the case, as pointed out by Legal Mindset, an attorney and YouTuber who's been covering this extensively.
Yeah, he's cool.
He reports here, 5th charge officially merged into case of Ramzi Khalid Ismail, Johnny Somali, in South Korea. This charge carries mandatory prison time with no option of fine. Ramzi is officially headed behind bars unless he can somehow win against a
no option of fine. Is that like no bail, basically? Like he can't get out? Johnny Somali should be drawn and quartered. Sometimes I'm like, oh, well, you know, like other countries and their customers and like in their culture, they can do what they want. I might think it's barbaric, but at the end of the day, it's not my country. I don't live there. I don't have any ties to it. And sometimes I hear of stories of like people in Saudi Arabia, if you steal something, like even like a minor petty theft, they cut off your left hand or your right hand. I can't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then those people don't do it anymore. They also have public executions. Some people would say it's barbaric, but at the end of the day, I feel like not a lot of people steal stuff over there. I've heard that the crime rate over there for petty theft is quite small in comparison to other places. Like, I don't know. It's just like some things I have to think about. I'm like, I wonder what would happen if this happened in America.
Prosecutors with a 98% win rate. And that's very similar to Japan, by the way. They have a 98 or a 99% conviction rate.
That's a lot.
Unfortunately, they're very lenient, and the crimes he was charged with didn't carry as heavy of a sentence as what he's facing in Korea. But this all goes back to this video right here. We actually reacted to this maybe like a month or so ago.
What?
Where he reports in this video, Johnny Somali says, this is the product of being investigated by National Intelligence Service members, where his comments about North Korea got him basically in some...
The NSA of South Korea is on your ass. The feds! I'm thinking he's cooked, man.
Hot water with national security forces. But he flashes this document, not understanding what it means, and he uses like racial slurs to describe the language it's in. But people translated these documents that he flashed onto the screen because he shares every aspect of his life. So people were able to translate what was on here.
That's so dumb.
Now, we don't really know about the national security stuff, if that's real or not. But what we do know is that these documents have to do with charges, the 5th charge relating to deepfakes. Now, you might remember at some point we also talked about this, where Johnny Somali was posting
the fake AI
videos of deepfakes containing him and another Korean streamer named Bong Bong, where he was making out with her as a result of these deepfakes.
That's harassment. Like, actually, even if it's fake, it's harassment.
Now, of course, let's make this clear in the context of what we're talking about.
Poor Bong Bong,
based on what Legal Mindset will claim or has claimed about South Korean law and just really how they view this stuff. This is sexual content.
That's a crime.
It's made to not only create something that is sexual, but also to embarrass the target of the deepfake. And that is a very important thing and a very damning thing for Johnny Somali. So here is Legal Mindset's really quick summation of what's going on here. I'll put a link to this video in the description, but let's listen to the severity of what he's facing with this 5th charge.
You can see here, it's got the name in a charge. And you can see here on the bottom, violation of the Special Act on the Punishment of Sexual Violence Crimes. So this falls under a sex crime. So it will no longer, after Ramzi is guilty of this, whether he is proved guilty by the court or whether he is, pleads guilty, you can safely say, without it being defamatory at all in any country, that he is a sex criminal, because this falls under the variant of their laws that regulates sex crimes.
Amazing.
He's gonna get
work. So if he is found guilty, and I mean, he broadcasted all of his crimes live for everyone to see, so I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. If he's found guilty, he is officially a S offender. Under Korean law, and just speaking generally, you can say that about him without it being false. That is an amazing development. And also, I want to point this out. I don't have screenshots of this because it's like ancient history, but when Johnny Somali actually had a Twitter account and he was still in Japan, one of his final tweets he made was calling people in Japan and abroad predators over anime and other fictional content.
Oh,
so now he's going to be possibly labeled as a...
You hear that, chat? Yeah, if you enjoy anime and VTubers, you're a predator.
S offender
that makes sense.
In real life. Many such cases of projection, by the way. We'll add them to the giant archive of people who ended up in a situation like him after slandering people over fictional content. But, of course, you really don't have to talk about fictional content. This clip is one of many where he is being an absolute nuisance towards actual minors. He hates this clip, by the way. He absolutely hates this clip where he is talking to what he knows is a minor and still makes sexual comments and sexual gestures.
Why is it always the ones that cry pedo? Like, vehemently. Like, I understand calling someone a pedo when it's called for. I totally get it. But, like, everyone who watches anime, like, a blanket statement like that? Deflection? Yeah, it's like deflection, projection. It's me that you're the problem. I don't do that. I would never do that kind of thing.
To this individual.
Why do you call me?
I'm a minor.
No, you're too young. Anyway, you're too old. You're too old. Anyway.
What?
Yeah.
What?
What?
I'm a minor. I'm a minor too.
What?
Yeah, I think.
And lying. I'm sorry, what?
We've seen enough very creepy behavior and again, projection with all the fictional content that he judges people over. But on top of that, while we're still on the subject, recently Ice Poseidon and his crew have arrived in South Korea. Johnny Somali apparently has beef with them. He tried to basically set them up by saying he's a part of their CX organization when he's really not. But he was confronted by Ice Poseidon, and he had all of this to say about Ice Poseidon and his crew.
Japan didn't like it.
All the other people in CX.
You're the one who went the most viral. You went the most viral.
So going viral and doing the worst shit doesn't matter.
Going the most viral matters, yeah.
Kissing minors, fucking with bitches while they're unconscious. Come on, your whole crew, like, they're not innocent, bro. Sus is my boy.
Oh my god, he's projecting again. Again, I don't know anything about Ice Poseidon and all that shit, like the pedal stuff and what he's saying here. But it just genuinely feels like projection at this point.
But they all done fucked up shit too.
I mean, don't.
Be honest. Like,
I mean, some of the people have done bad
Sus
things.
is literally sexually assaulting somebody on screen.
But you have personally caused
Ass
problems
Poseidon?
for other
Yeah, ass.
streamers trying to stream in these countries.
Yeah, you know the meme, two R words fighting? That's pretty much Ice Poseidon and John.
This is old as balls, man. Oh man, it's even an eye funny, dude. He's actually right. It is like this. No, you're the pedo. No, you're the pedo. It doesn't matter. You're both peds.
Johnny Somali here bickering, basically trying to have a dick measuring contest about who's the most ridiculous and awful person and the biggest nuisance
You're
streamer.
worse.
But yeah, you can see, again, lots of projection. But let's return to the legal mindset video here. If it actually loads, there we go. Okay, and we'll hear about the penalties Johnny Somali is specifically facing for streaming these deepfakes, and it's very serious.
But the thing is, that's not where that statute stops. And the problem for Johnny is
Oh shit.
he goes even further. So a person who distributes, this is the key, distributes an edited work, composite work, or copy pursuant to paragraph 1, or a person who distributes
AI.
a copy against the will of the subject, so without their permission, non-consensually, right, shall be subject to a punishment of not more than 5 years or a fine exceeding 50 million won.
So that's really bad. Okay, that seems pretty clear-cut. He posted this against the will of that Korean streamer.
He's gonna get got.
With that, he would face imprisonment for not more than 5 years or a 50 million won fine. Very serious stuff. But somehow, it gets much worse for Johnny Somali.
But that's not where he's screwed. Where he's screwed is he's hit under Section 3.
Oh no, not Section 3, chat.
So deepfake, by using an information and communication network. Literally.
Rip bozo.
Ladies
50 million won is $33,000, by the way. It's a lot of dosh that he does not have.
and gentlemen, Johnny Somali is receiving an aggravated sentence because he streamed it. Let me say that one more time. Johnny Somali is getting an aggravated sentence because he streamed it and because he put it on Discord. Because he had to do it for the content, right?
Yeah, for the content.
So because of Johnny Somali's obsession with getting attention online, he now has an aggravated charge here where he could face a mandatory prison sentence because, as pointed out here, there is no option for a fine with this aggravated charge. There is no ability for the judge. They don't have the ability to give him a fine instead of a prison sentence. It's only a prison sentence. And Johnny Somali, in this aspect, is absolutely cooked. Not to mention the fact he's already a convicted criminal in South Korea because he pled guilty to 3 previous charges. And we're not even talking about the 4th charge that he's also facing that he still has to go to trial for. This whole thing is an absolute mess.
It's a double.
And there's some other funny things to point out here as legal minds.
It's such a whammy, man. He really did cook himself. He could have stopped at any point, but it's just all multiplicative. He is getting comboed in the air by the South Korean government. He's like fucking flailing around in the air and they're juggling him up there and they're like bam, 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 and then another one and then bam, bam, bam. They just keep going, man.
That shares. The guy Hank, you know, the Korean guy who's always by his side.
Yeah, that
turns out
Hanky-poo.
he's likely his sugar daddy. He's basically keeping Johnny Somali afloat here. And let me make this clear because Johnny Somali constantly shames people for covering him and accuses them of being clout chasers and desperate for money and all these things. Johnny Somali makes nothing out of this. He makes no money. He is desperate.
Yeah.
He basically goes live for a few bucks. And most of that money donated to him is encouraging him to make a fool out of himself. He is struggling. He's not making anything out of this other than clout and attention. That's really his most valuable currency. But as it turns out, even Hank, his sugar daddy, is running out of money. He can't even fund Johnny Somali anymore, is now asking people to donate and to help out with the legal costs Johnny Somali is facing. And to make matters worse, let's go back to that documentary. And let's hear what Johnny Somali is all about. Also, let's not overlook these glazers acting like Johnny Somali is some, like, internet hero.
I punched you, right? That was one situation.
He slapped me, but same.
Yeah,
I was dancing in the street to a TTS donation. Some guy comes up, and they go back, my fans go back to the clips. This stalker in Japan has been following me for 3 hours, all through our arcade. Like, in the background, watching, waiting for the right moment when my friend Gino's with me.
Keep in mind, by the way, one of the most recent things he's done is literally stalk other streamers while they're...
I wish that these people that, like, support him in this way and then make, like, comments saying, like, yeah, you did nothing wrong. I wish they would get, like, a minor, like, infraction or some sort. Like, you encouraged, like, public indecency of some sort. Like, I'm not saying go to jail, but, like, it's like a mark on your record. Yeah, community work. Yeah, maybe like some, I don't know, a couple of hours of community service. Yeah, nothing too bad.
Anyways.
Gino's like distracted.
Yeah.
And he comes and smacks me and just runs away. And at the end of the day, that clip got like 20 million views on Japanese Twitter. You know what I think when that happens? I don't think like, oh, I got slapped, oh, I'm sad. I'm like, we went viral. I'm like, that's a good, IRL shit, really, that's a good clip.
Conspiracy charges? Yeah, that's a thing too, you're right.
The most important currency to Johnny Somali. It's not money. It's nothing like that. It's attention. What he took away from that situation...
because his parents didn't give him any.
...is how much attention he got. He went viral with a clip where he got smacked in public for being a nuisance streamer. This is all very telling stuff. Johnny Somali, quite literally reaping what he has sown. He's effing around and finally finding out, because this charge that a lot of people have been waiting on, by the way, is very serious, and he is not going to wiggle his way out of this. He can flash his passport all he wants. He can go viral all he wants. But he's in big trouble in Korea, and I don't think he's going to be leaving for a very long time. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
This kind of beast will die through starvation. As soon as they put him into, like, actual jail or prison or whatever, that's when it's actually going to be when Johnny Somali becomes completely irrelevant and we finally get some peace. Because it's fine and dandy for this kind of thing to, like, have it for content, but at the same time, there's probably a lot of Gen Alpha kids that watch his content and are like, yes, I want to be like Johnny Somali when I grow up.